It's just a little glass.
Zach Thompson.
Jack Frimston.
Good to meet you. 13th of February. Should we jump in?
Please.
Okay. It's a little bit from Epictetus today. It's a long one,
Oh.
so bear with me. Whenever you get an impression of some pleasure, as with any impression, guard yourself from being carried away by it. Let it await your action. Give yourself a pause. After that, bring to mind both times. First when you've enjoyed the pleasure, and later when you will regret and hate yourself. Then compare to those the joy and satisfaction you'd feel for abstaining altogether. However, if a seemingly appropriate time arises to act on it, don't be overcome by its comfort, pleasantness, and allure. But against all of this, how much better the consciousness of conquering it. You like that one?
I like that one a lot. So we can talk a lot about like compromise here, like what's in your toolbox when it comes to like what are you willing to compromise on for pleasure, and what are you not willing to compromise on for pleasure that could lead to punishment later down the line. So what are some of those things?
I think you want to look at concessions, right, that you're willing to give. Often what we're doing as salespeople is we're probably doing the old terrible adage of discounting. But I'll tell you something, right? When people say to me, is there any discounts? My response is no. I don't do anything really clever or crafty. I go, no. And they go, okay. And they just move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a question. What we're often hearing as salespeople is, if you do a discount, I'll work with you.
Yeah.
But discounts can be damaging as well.
Yeah.
So try and
why are
offer
you
that.
willing to discount?
Exactly. Why are you willing to discount? Offering that discount to try and get the deal over the line isn't always a good thing. So instead you want to look at concessions that might feel like you're giving something to them, and they might feel like, okay, I've got something here, but you're not changing the way that you do things. It's not looking for that quick kind of pleasure hit of let's just get the deal over the line at all costs. So that might look like, could look like different payment terms.
Yeah.
Could look like we can put in some training at the start, which might be something that you would give anyway.
Yeah.
But we can put that in at the start.
Pad it out.
Yeah, or there's some research I can give you, or there'll be different things that you can give that are, I still feel like I'm giving something. There's still that feeling of I've given something, and the person feels like they've received something, but not at the expense of just chucking your whole sales process and selling your soul out the window.
And I also think that there's a lot to be gained from feedback. Okay, so we know that we can learn from feedback. We look at our failures, we can gain. But an exercise that we like to do with our sales team and internally is lost opportunities, right? So you go through Salesforce. This time last year, I sat down with these people, close loss, okay? Some of them went to close one, some of them went to close loss. We call them back and we ask for feedback. And it's that feedback approach of just want to get some feedback. What we're always looking to learn. We're looking to get better. And then you start to find out maybe something that you did, which is going to be like, it might feel painful, but actually it's going to help you in the long run. But what you might also hear is, oh, no, we were in a situation actually where the budgets hadn't been approved, but they've actually just been approved. And funnily enough, you've called at the right time. And then you start to you start to unearth these new opportunities, and you start to stumble upon conversations that wouldn't have normally happened. So it's about like saying front of mind as well. So I think that you can really, really gain stuff from that. And then I think one of the other awkward questions that people don't like to ask, but when asked can really kind of bring a lot of pleasure, is referrals.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I like referrals a lot. I think any conversation, good, bad, whatever the outcome is, you should be getting in the habit of asking for referrals. So you're talking to someone, you've cold called them, they're saying, you know what, we don't have no need for this right now. We've already got something in place. Makes sense. Do you mind if I ask you something before I let you go? Do you know anyone who's maybe a bit less fortunate than you who might be open to a conversation like this? Easy.
Yeah.
What's the worst he can say? No. But the best he can say is, yeah, I do. I'll tell you, I was working in events for a little while, right? So I was selling event stands. And I spoke to a guy he was interested, he bought. And I said, look, I've got a space either side of you. Who do you know in the industry who you'd want next to you?
That's a great question.
And he said, oh, Paul Smith at X company. I went, have you got his number? He gave me his mobile number, rang him up. Oh, yeah, if he's that, yeah, put me down, I'll buy it. So he bought it. And then I went, well, I've got one space next to you now. Who would you want there that would be good for the three of you?
Houses, yeah.
And he went, and my boss is looking up at me at the desk like he couldn't believe it. It was 3 deals all signed in a morning from doing that. Like, who else would you want next to you?
You've got to be clever with when you ask for referrals. If you've sold something and the client isn't happy for whatever reason, you don't ask for a referral. But when it feels like everyone's winning and everyone's happy, I love it. And I go, I've got to ask you a bit of a difficult question. I'd say I've been dreading asking you this, but who else do you know, with it being so successful, who else do you know that it'd be worth having a conversation with? And then the brain, like, I think people think that people are just going to automatically be thinking about you and just going out and shouting at you. But you've got to remember that everybody's so involved in their own life and their own business that sometimes you've just got to ask the difficult questions and then it ends in pleasure.
We've had people that have come to us to try and solve a new business problem. And the amount of times I've said to them, look, let me ask you, out of everyone you work with at the minute, how many clients have you got? And they'll say how many clients. Say, okay, and out of those, how many of them really love you? Oh, about 50. Okay, and those 50, when you went to them and said, who else do you know who you could introduce us to? What did they tell you? Oh, I've never done that. No. Well, do you want to do that first? Because that feels like a nice.
You only need 3 new clients.
Yeah, and interesting when you say like, what's stopping you doing that? I don't want to damage the relationship. So again, it goes back to this adage of there's a story here that you're telling yourself of, if I said to them, who else you can introduce us to, you think they're going to say, oh, how dare you?
Yeah.
We're not going to work with you anymore.
That's not reasonable, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
You've delivered a great service. So that's this has been action-packed, full of tangible advice.
Yeah.
I've been Jack Frimston.
I've been Zach Thompson.
Remember, you will die.
Put the plaster on